All right, let's talk about the one subject that can make any student pilot break into a cold sweat. ATPL air law. Yeah, I know it's a monster of an exam, but we are going to crack this thing open and really focus on the key stuff you've absolutely got to know to get that pass.
Look, if you're looking at a stack of roll books that's a mile high and feeling that pre-exam dread creeping in, just take a breath. Seriously, every single pilot has been right where you are. The sheer volume of this stuff is meant to be a challenge.
But that's exactly why we're doing this. This isn't your full ground-up course. Think of this as your final mission briefing, a high-speed run-through of the topics that trip people up the most. We're going to arm you with the key facts, the little memory tricks, and point out the traps the examiners love to set. You ready? Okay, let's get into it. First things first, we've got to start with the big picture. These are the fundamental international rules that make it possible for a plane from one country to fly over and land in another. These are the foundations of global aviation. And at the core of it all are what we call the freedoms of the air. Now, these aren't just vague ideas. They're very specific rights that countries trade with each other. They're the permissions that allow an airline to actually run a global business. Now, the exams almost always focus on the first five, so let's nail these down. The first freedom? Super simple. Just the right to fly over another country without landing. The second, that's a technical stop. Think landing for fuel or maintenance, but, and this is key, you can't pick up or drop off any passengers or cargo. 3 and 4 are a pair, the real bread and butter of airlines, carrying traffic from your home country to a foreign one, and then carrying traffic back home. And finally, number 5, beyond rights. This one lets you carry people between two foreign countries as long as that flight started or is going to end back in your home country. Okay, and here it is, your secret weapon for the exam. This little mnemonic is pure gold for keeping those freedoms straight. Just remember TTC extended. The first T is for tech. That's freedoms 1 and 2, overflight and technical stops. The second T is for trade. That covers 3, 4, and 5, the ones about carrying traffic. And the C? That's for cabotage, which covers the more complex rules for freedoms 8 and 9. Seriously, burn this into your memory. So what happens if the worst happens and your radio dies? Well, you've got to talk with your eyes, using light signals from the tower. The examiners love to ask about the flashing signals. A flashing green light when you're in the air means return for landing, but see it on the ground and it means you're cleared to taxi. A flashing red light? In the air, it's a big warning. Aerodrome unsafe, do not land. On the ground, it means taxi clear of the runway. You have to know these cold, no hesitation. All right, let's bring it in for a landing and talk about what's happening on the ground. Once you're in the airport environment, a whole different visual language kicks in. And what you're seeing here are really two sides of the same coin. On the left, you've got the markings on the pavement, the lines and numbers that guide you when you're on the ground. And on the right, you see what the pilot sees from the air, the approach lighting system that guides you down to that pavement. They have to work together perfectly. Now here is a detail that I would bet money will be on your exam. The color of the runway centerline lights. It's a beautifully simple code telling you how much runway you have left. You start out with all white lights. Then, from 900 meters down to 300 meters from the end, they start alternating white and red. For that last 300 meters, it's all red. Just think of it like a traffic light. White is good to go, white/red is caution, you're running out of room, and all red means stop. Ah, and here we have a classic exam trap. They love this one. How far back from the runway edge is the holding point? Well, it's not one size fits all. It depends on the runway length. For a short runway, that's less than 900 meters, you hold 30 meters back. For a longer runway, 900 meters or more, it's 50 meters. It's a pure memory question, and it's such an easy point to grab if you just remember those two numbers. All right, let's untangle declared distances. I know, the acronyms can feel like alphabet soup, but it's all about what part of the pavement and the area around it you can actually use. TORA is the easy one, takeoff run available. It's just the physical length of the runway. Now, TODA, takeoff distance available, is your TORA plus a clearway. A clearway is an obstacle-free zone off the end of the runway you can safely fly over. Then you have ASD, foreign aborted takeoff. That's your TORA plus a stopway, which is a chunk of pavement at the end that can take the weight of your plane. And finally, LDTA is simply the landing distance available. The biggest takeaway and the thing the exam will try to trick you on is this. Clearway is for the air, stopway is for the ground. Okay, let's get back up in the air and talk about those invisible roads in the sky that keep everybody from running into each other. We're talking airspace and separation. So, what is airspace really?
It's just a defined chunk of the atmosphere over a country that country controls. And to keep things from being total chaos, ICAO came up with a system to classify it. And how in the world are you going to remember all those different classes, from A to G? Well, with another fantastic mnemonic. All big cats don't eat fat goats. Just say it a few times. It's silly, but trust me, it works. Okay, so let's use our mnemonic on this chart. A is for all IFR. That means Class A is for IFR flights only. No VFR allowed, period. B is for big airports, the busiest ones. ATC separates everyone from everyone in Class B. CATS don't gives us C and D, where you still need clearance to get in, and you have that 250-knot speed limit below 10,000 feet. Then we get to eat fat goats, E, F, and G. As you go down the list, the rules get looser, and more of the responsibility for separation falls on you, the pilot. Go ahead and pause here and really look at this table. It's the rule book for the sky. So inside that controlled airspace, how does ATC keep planes apart? Well, the standard separation when using radar is 5 nautical miles. But if the planes and the controllers have better equipment, they can safely shrink that down to 3 nautical miles. And under very specific conditions, you can even see it reduced to 2.5 miles. That's how you get more planes safely into a busy airport. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Let's finish up with a lightning round. A few quick-fire questions on topics that are almost guaranteed to show up on your exam. You ready? Okay, here's the scenario. You're flying in the clouds, totally reliant on your instruments, and the radio goes dead. Silence. You've squawked 7,600, but what's the procedure? How long do you have to maintain your last assigned speed and altitude before you continue on your planned route? The answer is 20 minutes. 20. That's the magic number. It doesn't matter if you're in a radar environment or not. You fly your last assigned heading in level for a full 20 minutes. It's a critical safety rule, and you can bet you'll be asked about it. All right, next question. Wake turbulence. You're in a little Cessna on final approach, and right in front of you is a heavy jet. Think a 747 or an A380. To keep you safe from those powerful wingtip vortices, what is the minimum distance ATC has to give you? 6 nautical miles. That is the largest separation requirement out there, and for a very good reason. The wake from a heavy aircraft can literally flip a smaller plane over, so you remember that. A light aircraft behind a heavy is a minimum of 6 nautical miles. And that's a wrap. We've gone through the freedoms of the air, we've decoded the signs and lights on the ground, and we navigated the rules of the sky. You've seen the common traps, you've got the memory aids, the information is in your head. Now the only question left is, are you ready? Go ace that exam and fly safe. Good luck.